Hi, welcome everyone to Unix Crew. It's me and Matt here. It's about time I bring Matt on for the Unix Crew. I have been meaning to do this, and we've kind of just played like schedule ping pong.
Well, someone, and I won't say who, forgot the time zone thing. I mean, it's like we've never done this before.
I mean, exactly. Like it's not like I have to deal with, weird time zones all the time, and definitely don't have an excuse or anything.
And then last night I was sick, so I just completely forgot about it. So,
last night I got pretty messed up. I was on a stream with Scott, and we were I was so messed up I don't even remember what we were doing. Have no idea. But for everyone who's watching this and who's been keeping up with the Unix Crew series, you might notice that it's different. I actually have like the Unix Crew, like we have a nice backdrop. That's because I'm using OBS now, and just for Matt here, so you get to know first, I'm using Fedora.
You went to Fedora.
Yep.
For all of us Gentoo lovers out there, I just have to say I'm disappointed in you.
All of us.
How could you not choose Gentoo?
I mean, you better be able to share your screen and it be Gentoo.
Actually, the hilarious thing is I still have Gentoo installed. I actually do. So there's a story behind that, is that my next long-term review is supposed to be Slackware, but I cannot for the life of me get Slackware installed on my hardware. So technically Gentoo is still there from the last long-term review. Long-term being a week, but still. Yeah. I mean, Gentoo is definitely not so... I knew when you tried out Gentoo, you're like not going to stick with it. It's not for you. Too much work.
Yeah.
Definitely. So Fedora. Why Fedora? Because you're a Wayland lover? Is this?
Oh yes, 100%. Wayland has definitely not already caused weird issues, like me having to use Discord from Firefox to be able to share my screen. Nothing weird like that has happened. Actually, I went with Fedora because, oddly enough, so the vote from I actually made a file and kept score, and so the distro that won, a lot of people were by a lot I mean the smallest number of people, but a few people were very adamant about NixOS and very passionate about me trying NixOS, but by score Arch won, and Void was a very close second.
So the most hilarious thing here is the top three that you just mentioned: Nix, Void, and Arch. You chose none of the three.
No, well, but see, here's why. So for one, I was going to go Arch, but before I installed it, Scott was talking about, he's like, at the very least, just give Ubuntu a shot, like try it. He's like, it works really well with the new 22.04 release. I'm like, I definitely won't stick on it, but if you're having a good time, it's been a long time since I've tried running Ubuntu myself, I'll give it a shot. Okay. Here's the issues that I had with Ubuntu off the bat, the new one. In the live environment, there's a pink hue over the screen, which I can only fix by going into the settings for my display and changing the color profile for it to an sRGB color profile. The automatic one is terrible. It has a pink hue over it. And all of the forum posts that you can find online about it are like your cable's broken, or the seating for the cable is not right.
Okay, it's almost guaranteed to be a Wayland problem.
Probably, let's be honest. I've never experienced that issue on anything other than Wayland. So, but that's only inside it. Like when you click try Ubuntu, like if I click install Ubuntu, there's no pink hue there. It's perfectly fine. Weird. So I tried installing Ubuntu from the live environment after trying it for a few seconds and fixing the color profile. It crashed in the middle. Like I started the install and maybe 2 seconds into it, the installer crashed. Like, fuck. Okay. So I retry again through the live environment, fails. It gets farther, but it still fails. I'm like, okay. So I'm like, I'm not going to give up on Ubuntu completely yet. It could have something to do with how it's acting in that live environment. So I go back through and do the install from just clicking install, not trying it, not going into the live environment. Yeah, from there it goes all the way till the end, and then tells you that it didn't install grub properly. So
I've had that problem happen before too.
yeah.
I think that's a UEFI thing, but still.
It's ridiculous. So with that being the way that it was, I was like, okay, fine, whatever.
You're like, that's the last time I take advice from Scott.
I'm like, yeah, I mean, I will not be giving Ubuntu another shot for a while. But then I tried installing Arch, and from Ventoy, I could only get an older version of Arch ISO to boot. The latest one from Arch gave me a UEFI error for some reason. And now I know some people are going to say, you need to update Ventoy. Don't worry, I did. Didn't fix it.
Okay. With your Ubuntu thing, did you try installing Ubuntu without coming from a Ventoy thing?
Yes.
Like, you did? Okay.
Yeah.
I'd worried that it was the Ventoy that was causing the problem. But...
Well, that's the thing. The Ubuntu ISO wouldn't even show up on the USB drive. Like when I dragged it over into Ventoy, the older Ubuntu one would, but the newer one didn't. Weirdest thing. I don't know. And that's, again, when it didn't show up, I updated Ventoy. So it's not like really a Ventoy being out of date problem. I mean, the Ventoy drive might be screwed up. I have no idea. But so then I flashed the latest version of the Arch ISO to another USB and tried it again. Still no boot, same error. Like, I have no idea. So I plugged my Ventoy drive back in. I'm like, I know Fedora's on here, and like at the very least I can try Fedora. So because again, I didn't have Void like downloaded to an ISO and everything, and I was just at that point I was like, I'm just ready to freaking use the computer. So I threw on Fedora, and so yeah.
One of the things we need to get for you, Tyler, is a working distro. Like, and we need to get you to stay there, because like you were happy on Gen 2. Like, you were there and everything was working just fine. You got games working, like Steam was working just fine, all the stuff working, and then you had the itch to hop to something different, and you haven't been happy since. So I'm just saying, if you just, I mean, my comment on your community post got 10 likes. Like, that's definitely enough likes to get you to switch to Gen 2. It's obviously the solution to all of your Linux problems is to switch to Gen 2 and make sure you compile everything. I'm just...
Yeah, no. I mean, Gen 2's nice, but I was definitely happy on OpenBSD, but now that I want to get back into my game development, and OpenBSD is just not a good option for that.
You are the perfect candidate for dual booting.
Maybe. And of course, I did not silence my phone.
That's fantastic. Like,
and the best part is that was a notification to do the podcast, to record this with you.
That's awesome. Winning. That's a good. Anyways, what you need to do is get yourself a couple hard drives in your computer and put on one Linux, on the other one OpenBSD. Use OpenBSD when you want to use it and you're not interested in doing your gaming stuff. You know, and then go to Linux whenever you want to use Linux, and just switch back and forth between them. That's what I've been doing. And honestly, my Arco system is perfect. Like, I haven't had any problems with Arco in 3 months. It's just ran really, really well. But when I get the itch to install a new distro, I have another hard drive in my computer. I install it over there, mess around, scratch that itch, and then I can go back to that one there. I can do whatever I want to, and it doesn't matter if everything goes wrong. because it doesn't matter. I have a working hard drive that has our Arco on it. I just switch back into that through the boot menu.
I know, man. Like,
it's just the way it works. It's so good.
Like, I'm telling you, it's like probably like a necrosis or something in my brain, but like I just genuinely don't want to use something. Like, the thing will be is like when I do want to switch, it's because typically I want to find something that's going to be a little bit more reliable in a certain area. Because I mean, that's really the problem that I have, like that makes me switch distros, is I have a problem in some area. And then I'm like, okay, let me see if something else can do this better. And when I dual boot stuff, whatever's on the second drive doesn't get used ever. And
you
so
got to
it's
train
not,
yourself to do it.
I know. Well, no, I don't know. See, I don't have a problem with constantly switching. It seems like everyone else is very worried about me.
Well, as someone who relies on your computer to be good at least every Thursday, I'm a little worried. Okay, because you're gonna switch one of these days right before the podcast. So you're like, oh, it's gonna be like noon on a Thursday, and you're like, one of the guys in your Discord, hey Tyler, why don't you switch to, I don't know, Linux from scratch or something? And you're like, oh, that's a good idea. And then Matt's gonna be there waiting for someone to do the podcast with, and I'm gonna have to hunt you down.
Oh, come on, no.
That has never happened. It was always
it's never happened. I've never been like hours away from the podcast and like just finished setting up a Linux distro and an install, getting everything ready. That's never happened.
It's happened more than once.
Yeah. I think I've sent you scared messages before where I'm like, I know I don't have long, but I'm finishing up.
Well, I actually think I got one of those messages a couple of weeks ago. It was something about BSD not working well or something. I don't even remember.
Oh yeah, I think I was having audio issues, and I was just going to let you know preemptively. But I don't know. It's nice to be back because there's, I mean, a lot of stuff that's nice, like having full Steam, like that's nice. The game performance is obviously better. Performance in general is a bit better. It's not like a world of difference, but it's a bit better. And then the internet speed, for some reason, my Ethernet speed is way faster here, like way faster.
It has to be a driver or something.
Yeah, well, that's what somebody, I can't remember who it was on Discord, and we were talking about it. It's like, yeah, their internet drivers are not the best.
Well, see, you mentioned Nix OS, and like I'm sure they're probably the same people that always are trying to get me to try Nix OS. Like,
yeah,
I watched DT's videos on Nix and GNU Geeks, and he said they're great, but they don't have very good hardware support. And I don't like that's an important thing, you know what I mean? Like,
no.
The rule number one, it has to work on your hardware, and like I don't have anything esoteric. Like I wouldn't need like a Wi-Fi card to work or anything because I don't have Wi-Fi on my computer. But other things have to work, and if you can't get to that point, like in order to have a car, you have to have four wheels and a steering wheel. I use this metaphor a lot, by the way, like all the time. And if you're missing, one of those components, you can't have a car.
Nope.
Even Fred Flintstone's, car had, the basics.
Exactly. Well, I don't know, with Nix in particular, I haven't heard that much about hardware support, and I'm sure those same people that are trying to convince us to use Nix OS will address how the Nix is addressing getting better hardware support, because I'm sure that's something that I would hope most distro maintainers like keep in mind, like we need to improve that. But with Nix OS, like a lot of the very passionate people about Nix OS, like the benefits to it are exactly why I'm not very into, like it's very different. Like using Nix is very different from most other distributions. As far as I know, you have a immutable file system outside of your config file for it. You do everything through a config file. But a lot of the reasons to use it are just not that appealing to me. Like the reproducibility of your system. It's like for me to reinstall Arch and build back up my system, it's like really not complex at all.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like it just doesn't really pique my interest that much. But I will say the thing about Nix that really, really gets me is, which I actually talked, I believe, with Felix about over on Discord. They have some pretty misleading documentation. Like if you go to their main website and you read, they have a page like learn about Nix, their package manager, and like the third heading down is like dependency management or whatever, and they make it seem like it's like you have to manually manage all of your dependencies. And I was like out at that point. I'm like, no, that's like Slackware, where I'm not like, if I want to install Kdenlive, it's not appealing that I can have control, and I have to have control over each individual version of the package that I'm going to install for each dependency. Like that's a nightmare. I'm not interested in that. But apparently it's not that way, but the documentation makes it out to seem that it is that way, which was, that was an immediate turn off for me.
Well, we also get those people who want to have you try Nix as just like the package manager of another distro. Like that sounds overly complicated too. Like I don't know. Like I understand those types of things where people like, I mean, people are always interested in trying new things, and sometimes they make things over complicated. Like especially with package management, we tend to do that a lot with, like, everyone has their own idea how package managers are supposed to work. We have Slack builds, and we have, package builds in Arch, and we have deb packages and PPAs and Flatpaks and snaps. Sometimes you just want to use a program and you don't want to have to deal with anything. So I guess what I'm saying is we should all use app images. That's exactly what we should do. Well, I said something terrible about app images on somewhere, and somebody got so mad at me. You don't think like you think like the hatred for snaps is bad, and there's a whole bunch of people who are anti Flatpak, but the people who are app image fanboys, they're just very passionate.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't think there's anyone that passionate behind snaps anyway. Like you can shit on snaps all day long, and you might get one person who's like kind of rubbed the wrong way. Like not really. They're just like, hey, I think snaps is kind of okay. Like, but you shit on Flatpaks or you shit on app images. Yeah, you're going to get some hate.
I'm very, very happy about app images, and I just saw my camera flash green, which hasn't happened in ages. That's hilarious. Thank you, Logitech, for not supporting Linux.
It's the best.
It's fantastic. Good job, guys. Go team.
Well, dude, it's nice to be able to talk with you, because we normally don't really talk that much besides Thursdays. Sometimes we do, but
yeah, I'm always so busy throughout the week that someone was complaining in my Discord that I'm never in the voice channel. Like, and that's true. Like, I don't think I've ever used the public one. Like, it's been there. I've never used it. I told him, I replied back. I was like, maybe someday I'll have a chance to get in there, but it's just, I'm always so busy throughout the week. It's just.
Well, I mean, you have not only a full-time job, but a demanding one at that. So.
Yeah. Plus, I'm trying to do a video like every freaking day, and man, all right, let's talk about some inside baseball on YouTube just for a minute, shall we?
Hell yeah!
All right. So, I was bragging, like I was an utter braggart last week about how well the channel was doing. Right? I told you like we had like 18 or 19,000 views over a 48-hour period, and then there's a couple days ago. I was busy throughout the day, so I didn't get a chance to get my video done until late. And it took me longer than forever to actually edit it because Kdenlive was being, Kdenlive. So by the time I got it edited, it was like 11:15 p.m. And I was like, there's no... And that was just editing. I still had to I still had to render the thing. So it was going to take at least a half an hour to render, even with my hardware. So I was like, you know what, screw it. So I was on a 100-day streak. I hadn't missed a single day in 100 days of videos. Now, some of those days were streamed, so like I count those as videos, right?
Yeah.
So it was over 100 days. And so I was like, you know what, fine, I'll ruin my streak. I will just take the day off, and this video can be render and get uploaded for patrons, because sometimes I give the videos early for patrons. And that day that I took off, oh my God, the views just tanked, man. Like, I went from for the last 3 weeks, I've been averaging between 14,000 and 19,000 views for the 48-hour period. That's where I've been for the last 3 weeks. I took that day off. I went down to 10,000. Like, almost cut in half. I was like, what the? Like, this is YouTube. This is not good for my mental health. Like, I want to be able to, like, say if I get sick, or I need to go on vacation, or I need to go to town for work or something. I want to be able to know that I can take a day off and come back and the channel still be alive.
Yep. Like,
I no longer have that, like, in the back of my head, I always thought, well, if I take a day off, it's okay. I've taken days off before, but now I know I take a day off, like the channel's gonna die.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, YouTube.
Like, a lot of people don't understand like how crazy that graph gets, because like when you start seeing like a lot of growth and everything, you're like, okay, I'm definitely doing something right. And just one day, like, dude, I think there's been, since I've started back doing pretty much every day doing content on the channel, there's been, I think, 1 or 2 weekends where I didn't post anything, and that's terrible for YouTube. Like, that graph drops like crazy.
It doesn't like it at all. Like, there's, like, it feels like the new, like, it doesn't matter whether or not the new content that you do does well. Like, I'm on a period here now where the last 3 videos have done shit. Like, they've been really bad. Like, excuse me, I knew going in that the video I did today on Mastadon and Twitter was just going to utter tank, because nobody gives a rat's ass about Twitter and Mastodon. Like, I knew it going in, and I was okay with that. But that's the thing, is that it doesn't matter if the content that you do is a 10 out of 10 or a 9 out of 10 in their little ranking thing. As long as you do some content, it feels like it props the rest of your content that you've done before up.
It really does.
It stays in the algorithm or something, right?
Yeah, it has to, because like, I mean, I've posted, like, it's weird, on the days that you post shit that bombs, that graph can either like barely level out, still keep growing, or it grows more. Like, it's ridiculous. Like,
it reminds the algorithm that you exist, right?
Yeah.
And then it shows them other content, even if the content that you just did was utter garbage. The thing is, like, it affects you like horribly mentally. Like, I was on such a hot. I think it was worse. Like, this has happened. Obviously, I've been doing this for a year and a half, and I've seen extraordinary growth. And I don't want to be that YouTuber that's just, oh my God, my video doesn't have views. I'm gonna kill myself or something. Like, Or I don't want to be that YouTuber that says, all right, I'm quitting YouTube, does a video, says I'm done with YouTube, and then the next day makes another video. No, I don't want to be that guy, right?
Yeah.
So, excuse me. I don't want to come across as ungrateful or whiny or anything like that, but it really does affect you mentally when you've gone, especially when you've gone 3 weeks where it's just been extraordinary growth. I mean, I gained like 1,000 subscribers in 3 weeks. It's absolutely nuts. And the views were just like, I think my views are like up 147% over the last 28 days or some shit. Just absolutely nuts. And then you take that day off and it just goes back to where it was like 3 months ago. And it just messes with your brain to feel like, well, YouTube owns me at this point, because obviously I can't take a day off and expect my views to still be where I was when I left them.
It feels like you actually get punished when you take a day off. Like, it's not just like it's not good for you. It's like YouTube deliberately goes, well, your content's not going to be shown nearly as much now that you decided to take a break. It's like, come on, man. Like, Have a little decency.
Like, and that was one day, right? Can you imagine if you actually took a vacation? Like, yeah, I'm gonna take the next 7 days off. Like, I come back and I'll have 0 subscribers and have negative views or something. Like, it's really weird.
You get a strike on your channel while you're gone for like no reason. Just strike.
I've been very lucky. I haven't had a single strike. I thought for sure somewhere along the line someone would just report me for no reason, because you know that I pissed somebody off out there.
You do YouTube no matter what. You do it long enough, you'll piss somebody off for something.
There is a douchebag out there taking all my videos and putting them on their own channel, though, which I found actually hilarious. Like, you've made it when somebody starts stealing your videos.
I don't even know that I'd be mad about that. I just feel like, really, man? Like, I'm the target? Like, you don't see anybody else out there with like, a couple 100,000 subscribers? Don't they seem a little bit more interesting?
I wasn't the only one they were taking. They were taking DTs. They took some Chris Titus, like, which I find entertaining because like DT has 200,000 subscribers or close to it. So that's way more than I have. Chris Titus has like 300,000 subscribers, which is way more than DT has, and yet there was like they were taking more of the people too, but I didn't know who those others were, but like those are the other two that I recognize. Like, they're like, for some reason I'm in that, like, that's the trio. Like, I have 11,000 subscribers and they have hundreds of thousands, and I'm somehow up there with them. Like, I don't know if I should be flattered or if I'm worried about your ability to understand popularity.
I think that's a compliment, because that person's probably just re-uploading shit he finds good, and he's like, oh, I like this dude.
Well, I almost felt bad putting in the copyright notice on him. Almost felt bad, because like, what if this is just a really old person who is using that mechanism for saving like videos that they like this is their favoriting mechanism. I don't think I don't think that that's true, but I kind of feel bad if that's if that's how they thought that this is. Well, I wanted to save this video, so therefore I downloaded it and re-uploaded it on my own channel so it can go away. I mean, that'd be pretty bad, right?
If we're being honest, someone who who is a little bit older and who doesn't really understand how YouTube works, like, I could totally see that being the mindset. Like, I
wanted to. How else was I supposed to create a playlist if I didn't download it?
Yeah, or just the thing of like, what if YouTube nukes your channel? I've still got the videos I like.
Either that or like, I was doing you a favor, man. I was backing up your videos in case your channel got pulled. Now I feel really bad to the copywriting thing.
I mean, like, it's weird because I don't know. I have no idea how I'd react to someone re-uploading all my stuff, because that just seems so alien to me. Like, I couldn't really imagine that being a thing.
It happens all the time. So I don't know if you know this about me, but I'm big into fan fiction. Okay, like, I like a lot of fan fiction.
Okay.
I'm a nerd. I can't help it.
Hey, fan fiction's good. I just didn't know you were into it.
Yeah, many different fandoms and stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
And because I like to, I'm a writer by profession, so I like to write for hobby as well. So I get into writing this stuff, and you become fairly popular on the fan fiction sites, and it's almost instantaneous that someone takes your stories and uploads them as their own. It happens to almost every single fan fiction writer out there that gets any type of following. Like, and it doesn't matter what fandom, like Harry Potter or a TV show like NCIS or something like that, happens in all of them. And it's almost like it's like somebody has gotten into like Emacs and created themselves a Python bot or something that downloads these stories and uploads them to fanfiction.net. Like, because it's like, so sometimes they like it's like almost instantaneous. Like, you publish a chapter, and within like 5 minutes, someone else has that chapter uploaded on their thing, and it happens everywhere.
Yeah, they probably just wrote a bot where they're like, look out for good shit, and then like, let's re-upload it. But it's funny because you threw me off guard there with your comment about NCIS, because I was like, wait, hold on. look, I know plenty of people that love NCIS, but it had never even possibly crossed my mind that there might be fan fiction for NCIS.
There
Never
is
once.
okay. There is fan fiction for literally everything. And so I shit you not, there's fan fiction for Dr. Phil. Like I swear to God, there's fan fiction for Dr. Phil. There's fan fiction for the Bible, which I find utterly entertaining. Like it's just I've never
Wow.
read it, but it fucking exists. So like if you can imagine it, there's fan fiction of it. Like okay, so I understand the Bible because it's a book, like, and obviously it's the most published book, in
Yeah.
history, right? But Dr. Phil,
Like,
like,
what are you going to do with that?
are you? I mean, are you trying to? Because I mean, one of the popular things in fandom is like shipping, like pairing people together romantically.
Mhm.
Are you? Maybe are you shipping Dr. Phil with like someone else other than his wife or something?
Yeah.
Like, what kind of mechanism is that? Maybe you got some slash going on there, with his producer or something. Like, I don't know. It's like like I saw that. I was like, really?
Yeah.
Like I get into some weird shit, but that's just a little bit too
Oh,
far out there for me.
bro, like my first introduction to fan fiction was as a family, we all started watching Supernatural together, and like we were enjoying it, and I can't remember how, but I heard about fan fiction for Supernatural, and I was like, okay, I'll check it out, and this pretty much ruined fan fiction for me for like quite a while, because all of the fan fiction for Supernatural was just the two main characters, who are, by the way, both men, both brothers, and it was a lot of love affairs between them, and it was like that was like a lot of the fan fiction. It was
I, I don't
weird.
know that this is true, but I'm pretty sure the whole Rule 34 thing spawned out of fan fiction because there's literally all that stuff in there. Like I don't have any problems with slash. That stuff's normal. But the incest stuff is like it's
It's
very, very, very popular in fan fiction. Like it happens all the time. And then you get into the whole like animal stuff, like the
oh my god.
Twilight and the like ABO stuff, which is like dogs, like like people acting like dogs and stuff. It's some of the stuff is like really fucking weird. It's weird. I don't judge people who like it because I have my own stuff that I prefer, which I pretty much think is mostly just normal shit. But but I'm sure
But
that
to
they think that
someone out
that
there,
too, right?
yeah,
So
yeah.
I don't like judging people based on what they like because the world of fan fiction is just really fucking weird in some places. But like I said, do whatever you like to do.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I had the same thing about like Dungeons and Dragons. Like I really thought like if you were like for a long time, I was like, if you're into Dungeons and Dragons, like you're super weird. Like there's no, like, cause I had looked up like playthroughs like of people like as a group playing through it. And I was like, I don't really get this. Like it seems very boring. But the first time I actually played Dungeons and Dragons with people, I was like, oh, this is why people I got it. But I could totally see like most things that like you might be normal for you, for someone else is like, what the hell? Like, because I mean, when you hear people playing Dungeons and Dragons and they're like mages and shit, you're like, what the hell?
I tried explaining fan fiction to my mother. She did not understand. Like, she did not understand. It's like, should you spend your time on it? Like, it's weird. But if you think about it, if you're into Dungeons and Dragons, that's basically fan fiction. The dungeon master's telling a story as you go through and play the game. It's
No,
game-based fiction. It's the same kind of idea.
no,
So I mean, uh, like I said, you got to be kind of a nerd to get into it. But it also, for me, I mean, we're deviating away from Linux a lot, but
of
um,
course.
for me personally, I just like it because it expands like stories that I enjoyed over the course of my life. So I mean, I like Harry Potter fan fiction because a lot of the stuff in Harry Potter is just downright racist or transphobic because of the author. But you can get
Yeah.
into whatever you like in Harry Potter. If you like whatever, you can do with the same thing, right? And it's with like that with all the fandoms. Like you get into, I mean, I mentioned NCIS, but there's literally everything. You know, we just
Yeah.
if you like a fandom, it expands it so that you can have more of it. So, like for example, there's a TV show back in the mid 2000s or so called Las Vegas. It was on NBC. Had Josh Duhamel in it. James Caan, I think is his name. Is James the father or the son? I can't remember. It doesn't matter. The point is it was about a casino security in Las Vegas, right?
Mhm.
And they canceled it like after 5 seasons, but on a fucking cliffhanger. Like it fucking pissed me off. I haven't watched NBC since, and it's like somebody was literally dying at the end of the episode, and then you canceled it. And
Mhm.
so that's where fan fiction can pick up. Like somebody just wrote the ending. You
Yeah.
know, sometimes it's utter garbage. Like some people just
Sometimes.
should not be a writer. Like, but I'm that way too. Like a lot of my shit is shit. Like it's garbage, but it's just for fun.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. Like, I mean, as far as I know, a lot of writers get their start doing fan fiction. Like, just
Tons of them.
yeah.
And like I'm not a Twilight person, like at all. But
Mhm.
that started out as maybe it's the other way around. I can't remember. It's one where either 50 Shades of Grey is fan fiction of Twilight, or Twilight's fan fiction of 50 Shades of Grey. I don't. It's one of the way around, but that's the way one of those started. Was literally fan fiction of the other, and they just went in and copied and pasted some name so that it wasn't copyrightable. You know.
Oh, okay. I did not know that.
I can't remember which way it was though, so you can't quote me on that. But yeah, that one of them started out as fan fiction, and they just went in there and searched and replaced the names so that they weren't using the same characters.
Dude, I totally forgot about when everyone was reading 50 Shades of Grey. Good Lord.
Yeah, I definitely was not one of those.
No, I was not. But like, I mean, if you had like a lot of women like that you knew around you, like there was a time period where just every single woman you talked to was reading that book.
My mother owns them, like which
my mom owns them too. Like,
don't think about it too hard.
Exactly.
But it's definitely that she owns them. Like I think it was one of those things. Like they just had to have it. Like they heard about it on the internet. Like, oh well, I'm gonna read this, and like okay, like I'm not gonna read it, but
well, I mean, it's just like Harry Potter. I mean, like when Harry Potter was big, I mean, I don't think you knew many people. Like they're pretty much the only people I knew that didn't read Harry Potter didn't read it for religious reasons. Like that's why. Like,
oh yeah, because of the magic. Yeah, all
that all that devil magic.
There's still a community out there that thinks that Harry Potter is from the devil. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're the same people who think you should ban video games because they make kids violent.
Yes, because we all know that we've played some shoot 'em up game, like you played CS:GO for like 6 hours. And you're like, I can definitely handle an M9 now.
Oh God. Do you know who Ron White is?
Yes. Yes.
He has that whole skit. The guy that skit is like 20 years old at this point, but he's talking about the video games and gun violence and stuff like that. He goes something along the lines of like there was a shooting in Detroit where the cops and the bad guy shot 22 bullets. They didn't even hit the fucking Suburban. Like give them the video games. They could use the practice. God, I want to go. I'm gonna go look at that after we're done. That's one of those things that just has held up really good.
Well, Ron White's one of those dudes where like he's such a good comedian, and he has a personality that is just. I mean, it's really like what kind of most people want. Like his personality is such a good one. Like he's seen bad shit. He's been around it. He's had to deal with bad shit, but he has a personality that's just upbeat. He enjoys life. Like he's just a good all around dude. And I mean, who can't like a guy who's like constantly on stage making jokes, drinking whiskey and a cigar,
smoking a cigarette, yeah,
or a cigarette, yeah,
yeah. He's that. I mean, not to discount all that stuff you just said, but he's just funny. A lot of comedians think they're funny, but they're not funny. Like there's just some comedians, I'm not, don't need to name names, but some of them just, they ain't funny.
Yeah.
Like every once in a while they'll come out with some like, hee hee
Okay,
ha
well,
ha.
look, I mean, I think there's a comedian that we could say that I don't think anyone would argue with, because if you do enjoy this comedian, like, please, God, start watching some other comedians. Amy Schumer, like,
Oh, she's not funny, dude.
dude, she's terrible. She's the worst. I genuinely, out of all of the comedians that I've heard, like, different people enjoy, I'm not a big fan of. They don't enjoy some of the comedians that I like. Like, Amy Schumer is universally, like, I've never met somebody who's like, she is funny as shit.
All right, here's this is the funniest thing I've ever said. She's a better actress than she is comedian, and she's horrible at acting.
Yes.
like it's a miles and away. Like she is Meryl fucking Streep compared to her comedy, okay?
And she's still an off-brand terrible.
Oh, it's so bad. Not good. Okay.
No, go ahead.
So during the first part of the pandemic, we watched a lot of the Food Channel, right? Like, Food Channel's great, has all this good stuff on it, but she had her own special on the Food Channel where she was cooking in her house with her husband, and she can't even do that well. I'm sorry, but some of the stuff she was cooking was just really, really bad, and maybe it wouldn't have been, because I mean they have a lot of shit cooking on the Food Channel. They just cook weird shit like, octopus and buffalo testicles and stuff like that.
Exactly. Right? You got to spice it up,
Right. Maybe the food wouldn't have been so bad if you didn't also have had to listen to her trying to be funny through the whole half an hour. Like, do one or the other. You can't do both. It's like, I'm not quite sure how she drives and talks at the same time.
Dude, the funniest thing that I've ever done is, I don't know if it's her last special, but one of her Netflix specials, I think it's her last one. I'm sure they haven't given her another one. I fucking hope they're not wasting their money on that. But like, you can watch that special, and I guarantee you cannot go over 2 minutes without pausing it. If you pause every single time she refers to her lady parts, you cannot, I genuinely mean it, you cannot not pause it every 2 minutes.
Like, okay, so she stole that shit from Sarah Silverman, right?
Yeah.
Like, Sarah Silverman did that like 15 years ago. That was her gig. Get something original.
She was she was outright accused of it. Like, she is universally. I love how we've gone on to just shitting on one comedian, but hey, like, let's do it.
I'm sure she's a fine woman. I'm sure she's loved by her family and her husband and her kid. I'm sure she's a very fine person. But her comedy is like I know damn well I can be funny, but I can't get up in front of a stage and make people laugh for half an hour. Like, that's just not in my repertoire of skills. And it'd be cool if I could, because another income source, I mean, I can make a comedy YouTube channel or something. And of course, then I'd take a day off and it would tank. But the point, just bringing it all the way around. But I'm self-aware enough that I know I can't do that, right? There are big guys. Like, there's a lot of big comedians, like John Panette when he was alive. Man, that guy was funny.
Yeah.
And he had that, a lot of the bigger guys have the self-deprecating humor guy. Yeah. He talked a lot about food and ice cream and stuff like that. Hilarious. Ralphie May, very funny.
I was literally about to say Ralphie. I'm so glad you said him.
Louis Anderson when he was alive. He had a lot of funny stuff about, weight and stuff like that. And, he's was a very funny guy. They're just, you can just name, but I know that I'm not one of those guys. So to bring it back to Amy Schumer, like, you would think that she'd be at least somewhat self-aware to know that she's not funny. But the thing is that there are people, even if we haven't met them, that think she's hilarious. There's a reason why Netflix has given her 2 specials.
Oh, bro, I'm telling you, man, like, that's one of my greatest conspiracies. Like, I truly believe, like, I haven't met an Amy Schumer fan in real, like, an actual real human being, have not met them.
In the comments section below, if you're an Amy Schumer fan, we want to hear from you. We want to know why you like Amy Schumer.
and don't troll on this one, okay? Like no trolls. Like you have to
actually
really
want to
like
know.
it. Yeah,
Like,
and you have to explain yourself. How is she funny?
At least 30% of your audience who has no clue who Amy Schumer actually is.
Like sadly, there are going to be people that listen to this podcast and go, huh, maybe I'll check out who they're talking about. And then they're going to be pissed off. Like,
why'd you guys recommend this lady to me? You know,
like, we weren't recommending her. What are you talking about?
I told you she was not funny. Like, like, I'm pretty sure that in all of her audiences, there's that sign up at the front that says laughter, you know,
yeah.
and applause. Yeah.
Well,
like, so people aren't actually paying attention to what she's saying, but just waiting for the light to go on to start clapping.
Yeah. Like, for me, I genuinely believe that like most of those specials, because there are some bigger comedians, like I've heard other comedians talk about it, but they never name names. But I know that there are comedians that do, like, they pay a certain amount of people to go into the audience, and then they, like, those people also get to see the rehearsal, and then they actually do a performance, which most comedians just do 2 or 3 shows and record it and with a random audience in there, but some rehearse and then record, which is...
No, this doesn't surprise me, because there are other comedians that just aren't very funny. You know, there's just some of them, like, there's just some of them that just don't... Maybe it's just my sense of humor, you know, because, like, I have a very particular sense of humor, but I feel like I can laugh at a lot of stuff. Like, I don't care who you make fun of. Like, I
don't care if it's me. Like,
some of the best comedians are the comedians that pick people out of the audience and start making the fun out of them.
Yeah.
Just taking the shit out of everybody in the audience. Some of that stuff is utter gold.
Yeah.
Dennis Leary, when he was a stand-up comic before he became an actor, quote unquote an actor, he did that a lot in his stuff, where he would talk to the members of the audience. Oh, you think you're really funny then, now, pal? My Dennis Leary. Actually, I thought that was pretty good.
It was.
He has a song called Asshole, which is, God, that song is really, really, I mean, that song was sung before you were born. I'm pretty sure. Just say it. But man, it's hilarious. And he can't sing with the lick, by the way. But the funny thing is, he's one of those guys who he knows he can't sing with the lick, but he leans into it.
Yeah. Well, man, I'm sure some people want us to get back on talking about like Unix stuff and everything, but hey, that's not really the point of this podcast anyway. It's for people in this space to talk.
There may be that one rare person who has subscribed to your channel who is not subscribed to mine, has never seen the Linux cast, so they have no clue who I am. Right? So that
is true.
Absolutely no clue who I am. So first of all, hi, I'm Matt. I go by the Linux cast online, and you know, I talk about Linux stuff. We never did actually do a
exactly
introduction for me. So, hello, I'm the Linux cast guy. I became popular after being shouted out on DistroTube's channel. Mm-hmm. So everyone calls me the Fat DistroTube. That guy.
and I'm referred to as his son. Like,
yeah, he's mini me. You know, he at that one point. Yeah, that was funny. Anyways, yeah, that's what I do.
See, I mean, I just assume people are subscribed to your channel. Like that's a fault of mine. But I mean, you're like what? Your YouTube channel's like what? 11 times bigger than mine?
It's something around, probably close to almost exactly 11 times. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, like, I just naturally assume most people come over either from the Linux cast or because, I mean, I also, like, I mean, we talk and I make references to your channel, like, off and on throughout videos. So, like, I just
do make
assume...
an alarming number of appearances just randomly on your streams. Yeah.
That is true.
I'm pretty sure this guy's stalking me, you know? The reason why I brought up who I am is because if you are that person who has never watched the actual Linux cast, like the podcast Tyler and I do, you probably wonder how two guys could get into a room and not talk about the things that they're supposed to talk about. We do this once a week, every Thursday, live on my channel. And we hardly ever talk about what we're supposed to talk about.
or like the main topic. I don't think we've really almost ever gotten to the main topic before 30 minutes of the podcast. Like,
maybe once. but I would doubt it.
Maybe.
Like maybe that was the first time we got together, and we didn't have the chemistry we have now. We were still feeling each other out, trying to figure out what kind of jokes I can make without pissing you off. It was just maybe that time, but after that, we just kind of we gelled together when we carried on.
Yeah, we had fun.
Since then. Nah, usually, I mean, there are sometimes we don't get to the main topic until an hour into the thing.
Well, I mean, if we're being honest, if it wasn't for you and having those notes, oh my God, there would be some podcast where we've done it before, but it could easily happen multiple times where we never even touch the main topic.
Yeah, because sometimes we spend so much time in the first section that we don't get to it until ages, but usually it's the news that trips us up, because we select such excellent news articles that we have to talk about it for like an hour and a half.
And those will start tangents because I mean I don't know, we have some really good conversations about news, like just what's going on, because I don't know, you pick really good articles, like really good articles.
I swear to God to you, Tyler, most of the time it's just throwing darts at a dartboard. Like, hey, I need a link. Let's just grab this one. Well,
I mean, that's what I do too. But like sometimes it works out surprisingly well.
It works very well. But what I was going to say is that sometimes I'm honestly surprised we got to the pre-show, because like last week we spent 20 minutes talking about Doritos. and that inevitably led to munchies while you're high in pot.
I totally forgot about that conversation, us debating over nacho cheese, and it was all over like a basic question, like, which one would you pick?
Oh yeah, but I don't even know what prompted me to ask the question. Like somehow we got into the subject of Doritos, and then I was like, hold on a second, important question, nacho cheese or Cool Ranch? And then we spent 20 minutes debating the merits of nacho cheese and Cool Ranch, because of course you did. And then we came up with the ultimate solution, which was
mix the bag.
God, so much fun.
Yeah. Well, man, we've been recording for almost an hour, and so we typically could go for much longer. And since we don't have a schedule, let's just go ahead and say, do you want to keep talking for a little bit longer?
Good for another half an hour or so.
Perfect. All right. I mean, I just know if I'm not paying attention and we've been talking for like 2.5 hours, we can definitely end it.
Okay, so here's a story. So I do that other podcast with my friends Ricky and Vince. We talk about movies, but that's not what we start. That podcast started in 2009, and we've been going ever since. But I like changing things, so we've changed the name multiple times. But when we first started, it was all technology and like tech news, and I was going to be the next Vergecast. I had very high aspirations, right? But one night, like it was probably a couple of years after we started, we did a late night recording. They're in Canada, in Toronto, and so we're in the same time zone, so we don't have to deal with any of that kind of stuff. But one of them's a professor, one of them works at a architecture firm as an IT guy. Mm-hmm. But anyways, we were doing a late time recording because they had worked all day, and we were talking about games. Like we were talking about like video games, and we just started bullshitting about our favorite video games. We recorded for 4 hours long. We were still going at 2:00 in the morning. That podcast has gone down in lore. Like every once in a while, we'll just bring that shit up. Like we don't want to do this again, so we always make sure that we spin around. Cause we actually changed the time. Like we will hardly ever do one late at night anymore, because we moved it to like noon so that we have to stop. Otherwise, we would just bullshit for hours about literal stuff. So we'd only do movies and stuff now, but still.
Yeah.
That's what I was. The reason why I bring that up is because I'm pretty sure that the only common denominator between the 3 podcasts I've now been on is me. So maybe I'm the one that spreads the bullshit.
I don't think so. It's just you're definitely a good talker. Like you're good to have conversation with.
And I can spin a web of bullshit anytime I did. So it's hilarious. Like it's funny because I have stories for everything. Like just now I have a story. Like my dad knew this guy who I swear to God he talked more than anybody I had ever known in my entire life. And the thing is like he's one of those people. You probably know people like this who tell stories but don't know how to end a conversation.
Oh
So
my
they
God.
just tell the story over again in a different way.
Yep.
Like you can tell they really want to end the conversation. They don't want to talk anymore,
Mm-hmm.
but they don't know how to end it without being rude.
So they just keep going.
They just keep going.
Yep.
Like everyone knows that guy. I'm pretty sure that I'm become that guy.
Well, I mean, that gives credence to that old statement of just like what you really dislike about something, like someone else, is what you're guilty of. You're just imposing it on somebody else. You're like, damn man, that's the quality I wish I could fix. And you're just like, you see somebody else just living it out. You're like, stop, just stop. But I mean,
that's you don't want to see that. Yeah, you don't want to look in the mirror.
Exactly. Yeah. But I mean, like, I'm that person when it comes to streaming. Like, it's not that I don't like know how to end. It's that I like streaming so much that I can just keep going. Like, there have been multiple times where I'm like, start a stream at like 11:30, 12 o'clock. And I'm like, I'll stream for a couple hours, have some fun. And then it's like 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning. And I'm like, boys, the stream's got to end. The stream's just got to end.
The best stream ever was the Linux from scratch stream because I went like you had been going for like 3 or 4 hours by the time I decided I was going to bed. I went to sleep, slept full, nice 8 hours, came back. He was still going.
Yep.
Like he was still going, and then you finally got sick of it somewhere along the lines of like 12 hours.
Yeah.
And stopped recording. So you must have just crashed. Like.
That stream is ridiculous because the only other stream that I've ever done that was longer than that one was the 24-hour stream I did. And okay, so back from the crash and we are recording again. Sorry about that, Matt. I apologize on my system's behalf.
I immediately, when you froze, I looked over at my modem and made sure I still had internet. I just assumed that was the problem.
I was so like it just everything froze, and I was like, wait, what? Hello? And I moved my mouse. I'm like, nothing. I'm like, what the hell is going on?
I sent you a picture of the way you froze on my computer. This one's definitely going to be a meme again.
Yes, I'm not opposed to more memes.
Like this one's going on a t-shirt.
That is something we actually need to talk about for a second. For anybody who for one hasn't been on your channel, needs to go check it out. I'll leave a link to Matt's channel in the description. But he also has a Discord, and it's fantastic. The memes that are posted on his Discord, I'm telling you, are worth so much gold. It is. They're some of them are fucking art pieces, man. They're hilarious.
Some of them are pretty damn good. Yeah, it was definitely a good idea to make that channel that keeps the server alive. It's not true because there's a lot of people in there and there's definitely a lot of conversations that go on. And I've been very, very lucky not to have attracted like a half dozen trolls.
No.
I think I've only had to ban like one person.
No.
And I'm pretty sure that's because their account had been hijacked and they're posting free Nitro.
Oh yeah, I've had to deal with that too, and I'm pretty sure everyone that has it happen, like their Discord token got stolen.
Yeah.
So.
And it makes you feel bad for having to ban their account because you know that eventually they're gonna get that shit back.
Nope.
And you're like, well, why'd you kick me out of your server, man?
It's like, dog, your account was hacked, man.
You
have to, man. You can't just have them just posting free Nitro.
Well, because I mean, everyone when they first get on Discord and see that free Nitro thing for the first time, you click on it. Everyone does. Because of course, wait a minute, free Nitro for 6 months. That sounds like a fantastic deal. Nitro sucks, but if I don't have to pay anything for it, of course I'm going to click on it.
Yep.
Like everybody makes that mistake until you realize, yeah, that thing's a scam.
Yep. It's sad, but also at the same time, like it's one of those things where it's like, it once you've used Discord for a while and you realize how expensive Nitro is, free Nitro still ain't even worth it. Like if they give you Nitro free for like a month, don't sign up for it. Like it's not worth it.
We talked about this on the Linux cast this past week.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing that we'd want from Nitro is 1080p streaming.
No.
Like that's literally the only thing. And I like seriously, Discord. If anybody, if anybody from Discord who works at Discord ever sees this, 1080p streaming should not be something you charge for.
It really shouldn't.
4K streaming, fine.
Mm-hmm.
You know, charge for that shit. 1080p streaming, what is this 1992? You know?
Yeah. Come on, bro. You can do it. You can do it.
Like seriously, 1080p streaming should be the default. And then it should only degrade from there if the internet connection, can't support it. That's just the way it has. That's the way it has to be.
But instead, you have to get like 5 or 6 tiers worth of Discord Nitro to have a server like lifted to that point, which is like $30. Like,
and okay, fine. Let's just say that that's what they decided they want to do, in order to get a server to that thing. But the fact that the people who boost your server have to continue to pay for Nitro each month in order to keep those levels. Mm-hmm. So like I had a person boost my server twice and those are gone because he stopped paying, which is perfectly fine with them. Don't come back and boost my channel. Mm-hmm. I'd rather you keep the $10 that you spent than give it to Discord. No. Because literally there's nothing else that I want other than the 1080p thing, and I didn't even get that because I think far enough. If they're going to do that, fine, but make the tiers permanent. So once you get to tier 2 or tier 3, whatever, you get to stay there. You get to stay there, no matter whether or not those people stop paying or not. That would,
or even if it's a time thing, like you only get it like it's locked there for like 6 months. Like I'd be fine with that.
I can see that, but for it to immediately basically just go away once they stop paying, because people record stuff on Discord that rely on 1080p, and they may rely on those tiers to have 1080p, and they make their podcast, surrounding 1080p, and then for that to randomly just go away because someone can afford the $5 anymore. I mean, you're creating a situation where you blame the people who have been supporting you for one thing, but also you create a scenario where you can no longer rely on the platform for quality video. Now, we do. For what we do, I don't care if we're in 720p. Right now, my screen is flashing green like a son of a bitch. So 720p, all you want, So, but the point is that, some people do rely on that kind of stuff, and they don't want to. Some people refuse to upload anything in 720p.
Well, I mean, there's the problem too of like when you're sharing your screen, you're trying to help somebody out, and they haven't maximized their text really big, and because the compression's so terrible, the actual resolution's not high. It can be really hard to like make out shit and help somebody out on their own screen, which is really annoying. And even more, because I do want to make this point, even more so on the Discord thing, it would make me feel ashamed. Like that if one person wanted to get me to 1080p 60 and keep it there, I would be ashamed that somebody's spending like $30 of their hard-earned money just so we can do 1080p stuff on the Discord server. Like that's a lot of money in 1 year.
That's why I always say, somebody asked me, should I support you through Discord and Nitro, or should I give you money through Patreon? I'm like, give me money through Patreon. If you really want to give me money, give me the money. And I actually get something, for that money. I can, put that into, whatever, a new keyboard, maybe. Yeah.
Of course, Mr. Keyboard Addiction. Yes, sir.
If you're supporting... Hi, Missy. How you doing, baby? If you think you're supporting your favorite creators through Nitro, you're not.
Yeah.
Like you're not really. That's what I said in the conversation we had on the podcast the other day. Is that if you have a reason for doing Nitro, that entails getting more emojis. Like if that's the reason why you want to do it, is because at least then you're getting something. Like you're getting something out of that. If you're doing it because you're thinking you're supporting the creator, you stop.
Yeah.
You
Well,
either keep your
and even this is the problem. A lot of people don't understand with Nitro. If you want to get the more emojis and stuff that you get with level 1 on Discord, you don't just get, oh, hey, Missy. You don't just get one $5 subscription. You have to do 2. It requires 2 Discord Nitro boosts for you to get to level 1, where you get all the extra emojis and all that shit. Yeah. That's $10 a month. Like, you could get Netflix for that much. And Netflix is now expensive as shit.
Yeah. So. like, you could get Netflix and watch Amy Schumer.
I mean, if you want to just flog yourself, there you go. Money just as well spent. I'm gonna have to let out Buddy here in a minute too.
We can stop here, but it's just we just bitch. We could literally bitch about Nitro for an hour.
We very easily could.
I mean, there are a lot of useless subscriptions in the world. Okay, I'm pretty sure that I'm paying like $14 a year for a weather application on my phone. Maybe it was $14 lifetime. I don't remember.
Holy shit.
I know that it's fucking stupid to pay for, but they have a really nice radar and they give you weather alerts. So it's not like it's better than Nitro. You actually get something. The point is there's a lot of useless subscriptions. Nitro is the most pointless, useless subscription that exists.
Yep.
Like there's not another one out there that you can point me to that says this it's more useless than this, because it's utterly useless. You don't. It is the NFT of subscription services, because you're literally buying emojis.
Yep. It's bad.
Like, just post a GIF. Those are free. Okay. And they're longer and can contain more context. The best. I mean, seriously. I'm pretty sure that like if you search in the GIF thing in Discord, you can search for, and I think like DT's in there. I think Mental Outlaws in there.
Yeah.
I'll know that I have made it when I make it into the GIF keyboards. Like I finally did get made into a meme for a couple times, so I'm really happy about that. You've been made into a meme, so. I should have. I really seriously should have charged like royalty for that screenshot, because I didn't create the meme. Okay, I took the screenshot though.
Yes, and it's a good screenshot. The face I'm making is something else.
If you don't know what I'm talking about, he's playing 0AD, but he has 2 monitors, so he's like off to the side with his mouth open. It's hilarious, and it wasn't as if it was just like the best moment to take a screenshot. I could have taken it for any minute over like a 10-minute span. He didn't blink for the whole 10 minutes. It was utterly hilarious.
I had so many people during that stream be like, that's the funniest shit ever, because I'm just like jaw open, dropped, just staring at 0AD.
Now you see that meme all over the place. Like you were on r/Linux the other day. I swear to God, it was hilarious. Like a dude's gone viral. That's why I said I should have charged royalties for that thing. I would have been rich.
Yep. If only we could make money off Reddit posts. If only.
All right. Well, there's another thing that's completely useless, is buying those coins on Reddit so you can give awards. Yeah.
Hi, buddy.
Don't spend stupid money on the internet, man.
No. Well, I mean, also, if you want to support creators, just go to their Patreon, or if they accept like memberships on their YouTube, just go there. Like that's probably the best way to do it.
Absolutely. If they give you okay, so back to Inside Baseball for just a minute. I know we need to stop, but if you have the choice to the people who are watching this between a Patreon and a YouTube, always do Patreon. Patreon takes like at the maximum 18%, depending on taxes and all that stuff. YouTube takes 45% to start out with. So if you don't want to give Patreon your credit card information. I understand giving a random company your credit card information, and Google probably already has it. So fine,
No.
I accept YouTube memberships, and you do too. But Patreon is way better because the YouTuber or the creator actually gets way more.
No. Well, I mean, it's just more bang for your buck. Like if you want to go out of your way to support someone, get the bang for your buck.
LiberaPay, by the way, takes nothing. Like
Yes,
seriously,
but no one uses it.
no one uses it. Like I've made $20 like one time, and I got like 20. You know, like I use Chime as my banking thing, right? So I get a notification whenever I get money into my savings account, and I got this random $20 thing. Like where the fuck did that come from? And like I had to search it out. It was from LiberaPay. Somebody and they did it anonymously. They're like, thanks for the $20, but nobody else. Brody has LiberaPay too. He makes 45 cents a month. like there's just one dude giving him 45 cents. Like I'm sure he appreciates it, but he probably wishes more people would use it. I wish more people would use LiberaPay, honestly, because like I said, they don't take anything. Like they charge 2% for like the credit card fee or whatever, and that's it.
Yeah, which I think is probably what scares. I know it's supposed to be like more open and stuff like compared to Patreon, but that's probably what scares a lot of people off because they're like, if they're not taking any money, how do you
making your money, right?
Yeah.
Like you like to go full circle again, like Harry Potter, never trust anything where you can't see where it keeps its brain. Like don't never trust a company where you don't know how they make money.
Yeah.
You know, how if you know how you're making money, otherwise it seems like you're part of, maybe I'm helping money launder or something, you know? I don't know. It's weird. All right.
But yeah, dude, as always, man, it's great talking with you, and I'm glad we've actually kept this like under 2 hours. Like that's an accomplishment.
It is so surprising.
Yeah, with no script, pretty impressive. We could have went on for a long time.
Oh, we could. Like, there's so many more like we had no plan. I did the same thing when I was on Tech Over Tea. I kind of hijacked this. Like he had a plan. Like he had all these topics he wanted to talk about. We didn't get to any of them because I just sat there and told story after story after story. I haven't been asked back, by the way.
That's awesome. Well, I mean, I'll just be surprised when Brody, like if or when Brody ever reaches out, because I've tried messaging him on Discord and he doesn't accept messages from anyone who's not friends, and that's pretty much where I hit a brick wall with trying to reach out to him. Like shit, because I can't find his email either.
I had to. He friended me on Discord. That's how I got. But he reached out to me. That's how. So I honestly I'd heard of his podcast, but I never watched it before he reached out. So
that's pretty cool.
That was a fun 3 hours, by the way. And that was one of those where it was definitely my fault. Okay. Because I would not shut up, and by the end of it was like, come on, man, stop talking. I gotta go.
Well, in that vein, I'm gonna have to go down to the store. So voice crack, okay.
You gotta get back by like an hour and a half from now, because you got to do an Emacs stream.
Exactly. And that probably will end up getting rescheduled. So for anybody watching this after the fact, I'm sorry. I know.
Really sad.
Which means you might beat me to doing an Emacs stream.
Winning.
Maybe. Well, all right, guys, I'll throw up the screen right now for everyone who supports me over on Patreon. If you want to join these people, links will be down below. Thanks everyone everyone who supports me on the screen. Like, you guys are awesome.
I was the first patron.
Really? You were? I thought it was Josh.
I'm pretty sure it was me.
You might have been. I think Josh was right after you.
Probably, but still, definitely.
You're like, I'm first. I'm first.
I beat Josh this time, and I definitely posted the first comment about Gentoo.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that one.
That's definitely not true.
Yeah.
Most of my trolling about Gentoo is just because I'm trolling Josh about Gentoo.
Yeah. Well, all right, man. It was good talking with you. It's good talking with everybody. I hope everybody enjoyed the video. Check out links for Matt's channel down below. And also, if you want to go over and you instead of supporting through Patreon or something like that, if you want to buy merch, we have a merch store. It seems like it's just mine, but it's not. Matt has merch on there as well. So pick it up if you want some.
It's a tax avoidance scheme.
Exactly. This is a massive plot to undermine the taxes that the government wants.
Screw you, IRS.
Exactly. We're going to get so many notices after this, you're in trouble. It's like, shit.
Definitely.
All right, guys, have a good one. Bye-bye.